Ow! It's time for the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on any and all platforms. You know what? Subscribe on your favorite platform because the audio version is the golden version. And I think I'm moving I'm trying to restructure this podcast to understand when things go up and when things go on YouTube. And I'm looking at potentially having audio episodes on Tuesdays and YouTube episodes on Thursdays. Or maybe we'll just do one episode a week and I'll just write articles with audio parts to it. Does that make sense? I don't know. Who knows? You guys let me know in the comments. Anyway, today's episode is about CM Punk. CM Punk. The man with all the press, regardless of what's going on in professional wrestling. CM Punk always seems to be in the zeitgeist, which is, I think I've stated this in other episodes, I don't understand why. I don't get his appeal. But again, it's wrestling, so you don't have to like everybody, and you don't have to understand it, and just have to accept it, right? People like CM Punk, and that's fine. That's great. But the reason I bring him up now is because Survivor Series is apparently in Chicago, and there's been rumors that CM Punk was possibly going to WWE, potentially to wrestle at Survivor Series to net that, giant pop from Chicago, his hometown. Whenever Chicago comes up, CM Punk comes up in terms of, wrestling at a venue, whatnot. So the new rumor is now that WWE turned down his offer to work at the World Wrestling Entertainment Company. And apparently it was Vince, Nick Khan, and Triple H who said, no thanks. The negatives outweigh the positives. That was the quote from, I think it was Dave Meltzer. I'm getting all this information from Cage Side Seats. If you do not visit that wrestling site, it is a wealth of information, so go check them out. I didn't just crawl across this information. But it did spark my interest in okay, well, in the realm of CM Punk and WWE, what makes the most sense? Because I think I agree with them. The negatives do kind of outweigh the positives when it comes to money they'll make versus misery they'll create when Phil shows up in a locker room and has, one or two friends and everyone else is pretty leery. Apparently, locker room morale is going up a little bit now that Vince isn't around as much, if at all, just in, from a physical standpoint. And, bringing in Phil, not only with the baggage he's carrying from AEW, but the baggage he had from WWE and the, people he rubbed the wrong way. But in my mind, I'm like, well, business is business, and forever doesn't exist in wrestling. There's no such thing as never. So there is potential that CM Punk could show up in WWE for a bit, for the rest of his career, right? He could show up, get fired, show up, get fired. That's just the way. Look, Nia Jax is back. She got fired. Who knows who's coming back soon? But Punk netting them money will always, factor into whether or not they'll bring them back. So I sat here thinking, well, what situation makes the most sense for Phil Brooks when it comes to WWE? And I think I nailed it. And of course, this is all fantasy booking, but let's say you don't want CM Punk in the locker room. Let's say you don't want him interacting with a bunch of people who probably would start a fight, right? That seems to be his thing. How do you gain the benefit of having CM Punk on your card without getting into all the, dust-ups? So, while also maximizing the money you're going to make for both parties, not just, Phil generating revenue for WWE, but for WWE paying Phil for his time. And it's going to be a big check regardless, right? Could be, regardless of how much controversy he stirs up, it does make him a hot commodity if you get him, because fans are going to flock to see him. So here's my idea. You give CM Punk a 2-night contract. And normally it's like, all right, you have, on this contract, you get 2 matches. The same way Edge had 10 or something, you get 2. But instead of matches, they are physical appearances. and then you cash in that 2-night contract at WrestleMania 40. So at WrestleMania 40 night 1, CM Punk comes out and costs somebody a match, whether maybe it's KO. I was thinking maybe it's KO, or whoever he has a good rapport with, or whoever's going to draw the most money. I don't know. Could be The Rock for all I care, just so that Cody Rhodes can go off and do something. Because you can't have him cost Cody Rhodes the title. Well, man, that would be... Look, I would hate it, but that would be really good booking if he came out and cost Cody Rhodes the Universal Heavyweight Championship with Roman Reigns, so he gets to another WrestleMania and doesn't win, and then he gets cost the belt by Phil Brooks. Oh my God. What fantastic heel booking, but what terrible booking for Cody Rhodes. Regardless. Man, I want to follow this road now. Let's say it's that, for argument's sake, and to, make people mad. Cody gets another shot at Roman. He's about to go over. CM Punk's music cuts. He comes out, costs Cody the match. Cody has now not finished the story 2 years in a row. Roman goes over again, keeps the belt for whatever 2,000 days that it is. And then CM Punk picks up the mic, cuts a promo, says, I want Cody. I want to wrestle Cody. Whatever the promo is. Then, night 2, Cody and CM Punk pull the curtain on night 2 of WrestleMania and wrestle a match to the best of their ability. Tear the house down. You have the opening spot on night 2. Have them go down in history as one of the greatest WrestleMania matches. Oh my God, Phil Brooks, he came in and he did his thing. And then you hand Phil his check, his enormous check for 2 nights at WrestleMania, and then you have him go home. And then you don't have to talk to him again. I think in the realm of maximizing value on both parts, be it WWE and CM Punk's part, that makes the most sense to me. I don't think Survivor Series is a good place because there's too many factions going to be featured. That means there's a lot of people, which means he will get lost in the shuffle. But a Mania match where he, either cost someone a match or call somebody out, be it like The Rock, if The Rock comes out and he's cutting a promo or something, and then here comes CM Punk and he cuts a promo against him, and then, he lays out The Rock, and then The Rock says, well, guess what? I'm going to take on you at WrestleMania tomorrow. And then they have their match or whatever, and then everyone goes home happy. There's no backstage brawling because you send his ass home immediately after he shows up on both nights. There's no controversy. It is what it is. It doesn't have to lead to anything. The Cody Rhodes stuff might have to lead to something, but something like The Rock where, like a one-off person comes in to wrestle him makes sense, right? Maybe Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar's forever just disappearing. But then I guess Brock Lesnar would go over in that situation. I don't know if Brock Lesnar would want to put over CM Punk. But anyway, the whole point is Punk has to go over. I think that's the only reason why he wants to go anywhere. He wants to pin, he wants the win, right? It's a Mania check, so maybe he can look the other way and take the pin and then take that check and go off and do whatever he wants to do. But in that scenario, the positives greatly outweigh the negatives because, again, you're eliminating his sort of vitriol that he would get backstage because, again, he's showing up and then leaving or hanging around for a little bit and talking to people, but then, generally being like, look, you got to go, just leave. And then, and then come back tomorrow in your gear, wrestle this dude, and then go again, bye. And then that leaves the door open for more collaborations. If you have, short-term contracts, there are like a couple matches, a couple appearances, and then he can build rapport with the back and avoid any problems. That's my full CM Punk idea for working with WWE. What do you guys think about CM Punk potentially coming back to WWE sometime in the future? It's not now because they turned him down via Dave Meltzer, But what do you think? What would be the best situation for all parties involved? Thank you so much for listening to this 10-minute wrestling podcast. And don't you ever forget,
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.